Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where we are currently working towards our final boss here, the United States. And we're going to be attacking through Mexico first. Hopefully the US won't interfere in that. We'll see if that ends up happening. But for now, I do want to set up our offensive line for Mexico for our tanks, simply being somewhere up here. Now the question is, do we care about the Baja California? And I think the answer to that is no right now. So we'll just have it be right up over here for our offensive line. Let's take a look at what that fill pattern looks like. Yeah, it should be fine. That should be absolutely a-okay. We'll tell our tanks to execute that as soon as the war breaks out. So how long until that war breaks out? We should check in on that. Okay, so it's still a little while yet, about 35 days. Cool. Well, that'll be some time for our war support to increase anyway. So that would be good. We'll work on that for the moment. And of course, we are working on our constructions. Now, I've changed the order of these a little bit. These up here were all actually at 10 still. We weren't able to build all of these simultaneously, as you can see here. And I just wanted to make sure we have at least some level of land fort in all of these locations, so I moved the ones that were at 10 up, and one at 9 as well. So that is all fine. We have a free dockyard. Remarkable. What do we want to put that to work doing? Well, we've got 3 cruiser lines. We've got 3 destroyer lines. We've got 3 sub lines. And then we've got 2 heavy ship and 2 carrier lines. So we might want to put this into another heavy ship line. So a battleship line here. This is, of course, not going to be at full production, but that's okay. We'll get going on that. Excellent. So we have forces on the way in over here. We're pretty well set up in this area. Guatemala is not going to be able to be as fortified, unfortunately, but that's fine. We've got additional forces still trickling in over here, but that seems okay. No major issues there. I'm wondering what our supply is like over here, though. Our supply is probably minimal, and in fact, it's a level 2 naval base here. We really do need to be prioritizing that naval base. So that is, where are you? Here. That needs to come up to top priority. And I'm going to move up this supply depot to top priority as well. Okay, so that supply depot is going to be done on 13 January, and we're going to continue the Guatemala work, and that'll be, we'll get a level of that done on 23 January. That is fine. We definitely need more supply flow through here. I don't think we can build, I don't think we can upgrade this railroad right now. Actually, we can, and we probably should. Okay. So, can we build a naval base on this side? Actually, yes. In which case, we just can't build land forts. That's intriguing. I expected that if we were able to build a naval base, we should be able to build a land port, but whatever. So we'll get going on that. That will be fine. We need to get our supply situation over here handled as best we can. In the meantime, of course, we're still working on these land forts, and they'll take some time to get finished, but we definitely want to have a very solid front line up over here. Now, as far as, retaining in the U.S. Navy, I don't think that's going to happen. If we look at this, their naval ledger indicates that they have 902 to 1,076 ships. That's a lot of ships. They've just been building ships this whole time. And we're expecting that to be the case with basically their entire supply. So we're expecting that to be the case with tanks. We're expecting that to be the case with their infantry equipment, everything like that. I'm expecting giant stockpiles in the United States. I'm also expecting that to not particularly matter. We are working on our own stockpiles, of course, and if we hop in here, I want to see how we're doing on those tanks. We currently have 17,000 stockpiled. Okay, that looks pretty decent. We're definitely stockpiling quite a lot of things. So every day that this goes by, that's absolutely fine, and assuming we fight Mexico quote-unquote alone, I mean, they've got these guys down here, but that's not really that big of a deal. Assuming we fight Russia Russia, Mexico, quote unquote, alone, then we should have absolutely no problem with supply other than delivering the supply here, right? But this is a level 3 naval base now. This is a level 1 naval base. So we have multiple supply flows over here. And we should be getting, yeah, we are actually already done with the construction of the railway over here. Cool. So we've also finished up our supply hub that was over here. This should be motorized. And our justification is now completed. Okay. The question is, this expires on 1 April 1964. We could wait a little bit longer. I'm going to make the argument that we should. And that means that we should be launching this at the end of March. Because that CB is going to expire very, very shortly. But that does give us a fair amount of time to continue to work on these constructions. And I feel like that's reasonably important. So that'll get us at least like one more level in each of these, and we'll be able to work our way through a lot of those land forts just in case the US does actually decide to get involved in this. To be clear, I don't expect the US to get involved in this. But if they do, we want to be prepared. So that's the overall idea. It is currently 8 February, and we're just cruising on through. We're going to be working up our political power at this point. I want to be banking quite a lot of it, because we're going to need it. Our combat casualties is not great, that's for sure. And there's a lot of things that we can't do currently, because we are not at war. So that is going to need to change, of course. We're going to need 150, just straight up, to remobilize our economy. So that's right off the top there. We do have this unassigned division that is, of course, going to get assigned over here. Cool. Now, a lot of this area we don't actually have defended, and we should probably think about doing that. So I'm going to split this in half, and we're going to move that into a new force. This force is going to be responsible for area defending in Britain. So everything up over here. This is a lot of coastal. Okay. And also in Ireland. And everything up over this direction, right? So Greenland as well. And possibly like this side of Canada. So something kind of like that. Now, these guys out over here should extend, not a fallback line, area defense, should extend down over here. Something along the lines of that. And then there's a fair amount of territory out over here that is just flat undefended right now. We can extend with area defense out here. There we go. That's Australia under control. And then these guys can be responsible for area defending a fair amount of territory out over here. So that would be something like this. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out here. This is going to go kind of poorly. I think that's very clear. Yeah, that does need to be there. Okay. So that seems reasonably fine. Is this up here? Yes, that is done. Okay, so we need to come down this way and make sure that that's all done. Okay, these guys out here are the ones who should be area defending down this way. And we'll toss these islands in here. Is this controlled by us? No, this is Portuguese, isn't it? It is. This is controlled by us, though, and that should absolutely be done. So that's all of that Caribbean stuff taken care of. That looks good. Next up, I want to come over to Africa. Now, we have some units that are out over here, but mostly... No, Africa's pretty much completely undefended right now. Okay, I'm going to grab this force. We're going to split it in half. These forces are, of course, fundamentally too small to defend these areas, and that is absolutely understood, but I want to have at least some amount of units garrisoning these regions. So we'll do something kind of like this. Okay, we'll pop down over this direction. Make sure that these areas are garrisoned. Okay, some of these don't even have naval bases, and that's fine. We'll just not garrison the areas that don't have naval bases. So it would be something along the lines of this. We can toss in these little islands out over here. Now, This army should definitely be area defending Sri Lanka as well as the Maldives, something like that. And that gets us mostly what we need in terms of area defense. These guys out over here need to have a little bit more area defense down here for sure. So something like that. And then I want our Iberian units, which this is not them. I want these guys to be area defending out here. Okay, so something along the lines of that is what we're looking for. We should probably tell these guys to also area defend in former Finland. That would be a useful thing. But beyond that, I think we're pretty much good. We have units assigned to each of these areas, even if there aren't enough troops to actually garrison these areas, which is very likely. That is almost certainly something that is ongoing there, is a lack of troops doing that. These lads are Marines, and they currently lack orders. I'm actually going to remove the orders from these lads. They should lack orders at this time as well. We're not going to be utilizing our Marines very heavily here, although I suppose we could. Well, we already determined we can't do a naval invasion down here because that goes to the wrong side, and we don't really want to naval invade from the Pacific side. So we're just kind of ignoring this for now. We'll deal with it later. That's the overall idea anyway. So it's 19 February right now, and checking in on these constructions, we can see we've made significant progress on these land forts. That's good. We want to retain significant progress on those land forts. It'll be a little bit before they're all done, but that's fine. At this point, we should have at least 3 levels of land fort along this entire border, and that's indeed exactly what we're looking for. We want to be heavily dug in case the U.S. goes on the offensive. That's the overall idea anyway. So this unit is going to go here. And this guy, is this a real infantry division? No, it's a fake one. Okay, he's going to go, let's see, that's a real unit there. You're going to go there. Perfect. So that looks fine. It is currently 25 February. We need to declare this war in March. So in this next month, but we're going to give it as much construction time as we can. We absolutely want to get through this as much as possible. Upgrading these, this would be 23 March, and this would be 6 March. Okay, so sometime around 23 March would probably be the optimal-ish time to do this. It's 1 March right now, and we're going to put this guy in here. Looks good. So, back over in Mexico, we're going to attack this soon. But it's going to be another 20-ish days. Emphasis on ish. So that's looking fine. Let's check in on that construction. Yeah, that's definitely going pretty well. A lot of these have 8 levels of land fort now. Of course, some of these down here are not being constructed, and that's understood. It's fine for the moment. Cool. We're going to have some of those land forts completely done before this invasion even begins. That's wonderful. We're very, very glad to see that. So it's currently 9 March. I'm going to bump us up to speed 5. We're just waiting to get as much construction done as possible here. We should really declare this on 30 March. So that's going to be the plan here. It's currently the 14th. We also have some units that we can sort out here. This is a real infantry division here. Wow. Okay, you're going to go to the reserves. And then these are all fake. So we're going to put them here. Cool. That seems fine. It is now 18 March. Back up to speed 5. Let's see how long this takes. So 23 March is when we're going to see another level of goods coming in through the naval bases. That's cool. But I want to give this a couple more days here. I want to check in. How are we doing on our construction now? We're constructing the last level of land fort for a lot of these. We've not really started engaging in those constructions just yet. But we're making really solid progress on that. Okay. 25 March, we're going to declare this on the 30th. We've already determined that. So 26, 27... Definitely a bit slow, but 28, let's bump it up to 5, 29, and 30. Okay, so today is the day. We're going to declare this war. Before we do, I want to double check our construction. So we're finishing up a lot of these levels of land fort at this point. And we'll start construction in these areas pretty soon, but we do have at least 2 levels of land fort in all of these locations. So if we get attacked, we should have a reasonably sizable advantage on that front, but this is a very, very wide front, and we have our forces stretched relatively thinly right now. So that is definitely noted, and we'll keep that in mind going forward. But at least some levels of fortification is good. So let's go ahead and declare war on Mexico, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so this is going to be interesting, for sure. So, they called in Danish Niger, yes. Poland, Gaza, Dynam, and Cambodia joined the war along with them. Okay, so Poland joining the war is interesting, to be sure. So I'm just thinking about how we want to handle that. I would like to, I think, pull these guys over. That was definitely unexpected that Poland joins the war, but I'm going to pull these lads over, and we're going to have them come up over here. So that's this unit, and they're going to simply frontline here. And then that's this unit of tanks. They're going to frontline here. It's going to take some time for them to get here. And then they're going to offensive line straight down through Poland. That's going to be a fairly important thing to get done. It's going to take a little while. I'm wondering where currently we have Marines. We have Marines here. That's a little closer. And Marines here. That's a lot closer. So I'm going to tell these Marines to make their way here, and hopefully they can at least contain this. So that'll be fine. Now, who else are we at war with? We are at war with Gaza, and Gaza is these guys down here. For the moment, I'm thinking about simply ignoring Gaza until Poland is dealt with. We should call all of our guys. Yes, that's a lot. And Mexico and Costa Rica were expected. Dynam and Cambodia are in this as well. So they're both going to be up over here, right? So this is Dynam, this is Cambodia. I think for the moment, again, we're largely going to ignore them. We're going to free up Poland, and, well, I'm not quite going to ignore them. I'm going to send our Marines down over here, with the idea being offensive lining like this. Now, the Asian countries, I think we are, for the moment, going to ignore. Kind of ignore. I'm going to add area defense like this. And also, hang on, we don't have area defense down over... No, not fallback line. We don't have area defense down over here. So that should absolutely be done. Something like that. Okay, so with that in mind, for the time being, we're ignoring Dynam and Cambodia. We are crushing Poland as soon as we can, and we're sending Marines down to Gaza, which I actually expect that to be sufficient to deal with Gaza. We have no one going to Dynam right now. We'll deal with them after Poland, is the idea. Okay, so we are launching some attacks over in Mexico. And some of these attacks are being successful. That is good. I do want to construct here. Oh, we can't do this? Hang on. Is Guatemala not in this war? I'm a little surprised that we're apparently not able to construct in Guatemala. You cannot call on allies when you are not the leader. What? We're the faction leader. Is Guatemala not in our faction? They are. I'm very confused about what's going on with Guatemala right now. They're in the Carpetanian faction, and they're in the war. It's interesting that we cannot construct land forts in their territory. Well, it doesn't really matter. We'll just push on through. This seems fine. So we're going to push Mexico out of here. We're going to have a breakthrough on that relatively quickly. So that's fine. This down here, we're mostly going to rely on allied troops to deal with. We are seeing some allied troops out in this area, but this is going to need to be dealt with later on. Mexico joined the European Association. Okay, that is reasonably expected. So we're going to just push through Mexico here. Guatemala is going to get some of this territory temporarily, but it doesn't really matter. So we're seeing some things going on over here. And for the moment, that seems reasonably okay. Our Marines are already arriving, so that looks good. Our Marines are only going to stay there until our forces from down here make their way up, right? And they'll arrive there eventually. But we've got forces definitely heading in here. Do we have Marines up over here? Yes, we do. Okay. So they're not going to be able to cut us off over this way. That looks good. Now, out over here, these guys are absolutely going to do some cutoff, but it's relatively fine. We may want to, just for safety's sake, get started constructing a naval base down here and connect this up via railway like this. Okay. So we're going to get going on that. That is just for safety's sake, and I want to check in down here at Gaza. Yeah, that's going to take some time for our troops to arrive there, but this seems reasonably okay. We've already got a lot of Mexican troops pinned on the Yucatan Peninsula, and that's going to go very poorly for them. So that looks phenomenal. What are these Lend-Leases? We actually don't need any of these Lend-Leases. It should be completely fine to not have those. These guys are going to head over to this division for right now. Cool. So we're seeing some gains out over here, but it'll take time for forces to make their way over there. Overall, this is looking absolutely fine. Mexico has called Costa Rica in. That was expected. We knew that they were going to call in Costa Rica. This is a huge chunk of their army, by the way. Absolutely enormous chunk of their army that is going to get... Really? Poland capitulated already. Remarkable. I don't know why they did that already. Sure. That's fine. In that case, we're going to send our infantry unit down to the south here. They're going to be down this way. These guys are very awkward. Let's see if we can pull them back a bit. We're going to send our infantry down here. We're going to send our tanks to the north side. Okay, so they're on their way. Now, this unit here, we should be able to deal with Gaza. In fact, our vassals appear to be already dealing with Gaza. So that's fine. I'm going to send this Marine division to go frontline down over here. And that'll be fine for now. They'll just need to arrive there. It'll take some time. Let's check in on Mexico here. They do have a level 2 naval base here, which isn't actually a problem for us. We have taken it, and they're having a huge number of stack wipes right here. So Mexico is pretty gone. Mexico City is going to fall shortly. Mexico might capitulate just from that. Poland's capitulation is, of course, phenomenal. We're very happy about that. And it'll take us some time to get our units elsewhere. We definitely weren't expecting the Asian angle there, but it's fine. No issue. Mexico City has now fallen, and Mexico did not capitulate from that, but they're very close. Even just the fall of Veracruz might do it, and Veracruz is about to fall. So we're just heading right on in. Yeah, this is no problem whatsoever here in Mexico. Looks like it wasn't Veracruz that they needed to capitulate, but they are 88% towards capitulation at this moment. So we're just going to continue to press in here. This is going exceptionally well right now. Now, I want to check in Africa. This is already pretty over. To be honest, our vassals are dealing with this nicely. What about over here? Our vassals are dealing with this a little less nicely. I think that's clear. I'd like these guys to be down here, not up here. Okay. So we're going to move forces in here. They'll get there eventually. These guys really should have their front line be extended out over to here. But there we go. That's fine for now. Yes, these guys are going kind of ham. We weren't expecting it. We have forces on the way. It'll be fine. As soon as this autosave is over, let's go check in on Mexico. This is going very badly for them. Guatemala is getting all of this territory. That won't be the case in the final peace deal. Okay. So it looks like we don't have to worry about the U.S. joining this. I'm just wondering how long before Mexico gives up, because they have lost this war. They just don't know it yet. We do have a lack of supplies going up. We may end up stalling out, but we haven't lost momentum yet. So I'm just going to leave this be for the time being and hope that Mexico capitulates before then. They're 98% to capitulation right now. I think they will capitulate. Any moment now. We're just continuing to push right on through here. They don't have a chance. Not a single chance. So capitulation is really the right call. Gaza has capitulated. Okay. So did our Marines even arrive there? Actually, yes, they did. And that's probably why they capitulated. That's fine. I'll leave our Marines here for the moment. We don't have a plan for those. Cool. There goes Mexico. And now I want these guys to start frontlining on the U.S. border. So they're going to frontline here, and the tank unit, or rather the infantry unit, is also going to frontline here. Now, Guatemala controls all of that, and we cannot build land forts in Guatemala. So that's a bit of a problem for us for fortification. We'll just have to wait for now. So we're making our way in over here. We don't... Actually, we do have units beginning to arrive here in the north. This is our infantry unit here, and I want them to offensive line. For now, something like that. They can begin to work on that. I don't think we'll have problems with our infantry attacking here. This should be reasonably okay. Our Marines are going to be arriving down here shortly as well. They're going to offensive line, just like straight down to the coast here. And the Marines should absolutely punch through this. So I want them to do something kind of like that. And they can execute that as soon as they arrive. The tanks are not here yet, and they're starting to get kind of close. Okay, cool. So the tanks are going to be here. Their job is to just offensive line where these others aren't offensive lining. Really, I would prefer the tanks to be in the north, but it doesn't matter. We can push them up from the south once they arrive. Cool. So this war is going to be over very, very shortly. The only people that we don't have a plan for dealing with is Costa Rica. And the question is, how would we go about doing that? Could we get military access through Colombia? Well, no. They're democratic. What about through Nicaragua? They're also democratic. Interesting. Well, we'll have to see how we want to handle that. It is time for right now to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to continue pressing in here. This war should be entirely over, with the exception of Costa Rica, within a very short amount of time. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Socketman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.